Castle's Forlorn was released in 1983 and is for levels 4 through 6. Written by Lisa Smedden, with interior art by Stephen Fabian, Arnie Sweckel, and Robert Klanchik, with a cover by Dana Kunston. It was the third box set released for Ravenloft and details the core domain of Forlorn and its Dark Lord, which were only touched upon in the Ravenloft core set. It comes with 3 source books and 2 full-size poster maps. It is both a source book and an adventure. The Weeping Land source book covers the domain of Forlorn, which is based off medieval Scotland. The bulk of the population are goblins. They work for the Dark Lord of the domain, mostly killing anyone who enters the domain and chopping down the trees. The rest of the population are scattered clans of druids who remain hidden from the goblins. The druids are the remnants of the original descendants of the domain and are split into 2 factions. One faction wants to proactively work against the Dark Lord, and the other wants to rebalance the land through nature. The Dark Lord of the domain is Tristan Blanc, I hope I said that right, who is a vampire by day and a ghost by night. He cannot leave Castle Tristanoria, and therefore relies on the goblins to do his bidding outside of the castle. His backstory is long and interesting and featured in other products, but this is by far his most detailed write-up you will get. Other locations in the domain include the Lake of Red Tears, where a Loch Ness Monster type creature lives, the ruins of the village Burnham, where the people of the domain used to live, the Caverns of the Dead, where the goblins lay out their dead, and the Maw of Aran, a mountain that spews poisonous gas, and of course Castle Tristanoria. Castle Tristanoria exists in 3 time periods, once inside the castle. Time A is when Tristan first had the castle built. This is probably the least haunted of the time periods. Citizens still roam about, and Tristan, who even though his vampire by day and ghost by night self, did get married, and he had several children. Of course, things did not end up well for his family members eventually. Time B is when Tristan hired mercenaries and started a war with a rival clan for control of the land. Even though he was technically the Dark Lord, nobody knew it. His dead family from Time A haunts the castle, and none of them are happy. It is a violent time where Tristan mercilessly slaughtered the rival clans. Time C is the present time, with goblins roaming the land and the scattering remnants of druids trying to take it back. The Melancholy Meetings book is a series of adventures that can be completed in any order at various locations in the domain outside the castle. The heroes will visit the prominent locations of Forlorn and meet the goblins, the druids, and even the Loch Ness Monster. These adventures are pretty good and show off the bleak domain of Forlorn really well, and is just basically a travel log of the domain. The Eve of Sorrows book detailed the ghosts, monsters, evil men that haunt or occupy the castle, and what time periods they haunt it. It describes which rooms can be visited, since some won't exist in certain time periods, when the time shift should occur, and the effects of doing something in one time and how it affects the other time periods. Basically, this book makes it to where there's no time paradoxes, or it gives an easy way out from time paradoxes, I should say. There is a detailed map and room description of the castle, but no adventure per se. Now, this part of the adventure requires some work by a DM. Keeping up with time shifts, which rooms and monsters exist in which time period, and a somewhat coherent adventure are all things a DM will have to come up with. But a good DM can do it, and the players will enjoy it, as time travel is always an interesting concept, and they will certainly remember this one. This box set is a must-buy, a home run for the Ravenloft product line. I really didn't touch on Tristan's history because I really can't do it justice in this short review. But his dual nature of vampire/ghost make him very unique, and his tragic history is very moving. Let's just say that he was born with the deck stacked against him, and at one time he really tried to do the right thing and have a family despite the odds being stacked against him. However, things did not turn out right for him, partly because of his own actions. Forlorn, being one of the smallest domains of the core, is also one of the most interesting. From the potential civil war among the Druids to the leader of the goblins wanting to unseat Tristan as Dark Lord, and the very Scottish culture of the domain make this a must-explore. This doesn't even include the adventures one can have in Castle Tristanoria and its time-shifting presence. Again, I emphasize, this is a must-buy. Time is meaningless in Castle Tristanoria. Forlorn has long remained hidden in the shadows of notorious Barovia and Cartacus. Yet the tiniest domain in the lands of the core is nearly as old as Ravenloft itself. The land is sick with evil, a twisted mockery of the place it once was. It is filled with creatures of despair who were drawn into the demiplane of dread. Within Castle Tristanoria lies oblivion. The crumbling keep slips in and out of time, carrying its unwary explorers across the centuries, where they may be abandoned to the cold winds of eternity, and to the ghosts in the castle. Spirits both innocent and guilty haunt the timeless passages, whispering tales of murder and vengeance. Escape is for the lucky, or the hopelessly mad. The Castle's Forlorn box set provides the Dungeon Master with a rich and complex domain in which to set a campaign of any size and duration. It includes a 96-page sourcebook, The Weeping Land, which reveals the complete history of the domain and the strange and terrible lord who rules over it. Descriptions of the living and dead who call this lonely land home abound, as do details of the forbidden Tristanoria Castle, where adventurers may spend an evening or an age. After learning Forlorn's history of sorrow, the DM can lead player characters into Melancholy meetings, a 32-page collection of encounters that provide adventure in every corner of the domain. Finally, only Eve of Sorrows remains, which is a 32-page assortment of mysteries and nightmares within the castle itself. This deluxe box adventure set completes the portrait of Forlorn with a highly detailed double-sided poster map of the castle, a poster map of the domain, and a special wall poster created by award-winning artist Ralph Ruffel, all in full color.